This is Corey McCarthy, and welcome to a new episode of Fit, Formidable, and Fantastic. That's right. Go F yourself, and happy Meatless Monday. Now, recently a thread picked up comments in a Facebook group that I moderate, a thread discussing whether we will ever see a vegan Mr. Olympia. So the question is it possible? Well, the short answer is yes. It is possible, technically speaking, insofar as a vegan being able to achieve the degree of muscularity and conditioning required to compete at that level. But yes, it will also require drug use. There is not a single Mr. Olympia level IFBB competitor who is clean. Not a single one. Regardless of what they say or mostly don't say, you can simply not walk around diced like that with like 4% body fat, for instance, sitting around 250 plus pounds naturally. Jay Cutler, a four-time Mr. Olympia, claimed he had 3% body fat at the 2006 Mr. Olympia at 286 pounds. So just to give you a little perspective there, it's just not possible without drugs. So first of all, yeah, a vegan could do it, but he would need the drugs. And even if you are an elite genetic specimen, because people are like, well, what if it's just genetics? Even if you're an elite genetic specimen, you cannot get out of the drug aspect. Bear in mind, everyone who steps on the Mr. Olympia stage is the cream of the genetic crop, relatively speaking. Now, of course, amongst them, there's always the one who's better, who's going to be winning the show, but relatively speaking, they're the best in the world. They're top competitors and thus top genetics. And yes, they're all juiced to the gills nonetheless. So, yes, a vegan could attain the look and the size, but would require the requisite drug use that goes along with it. But there's more to it than just size and conditioning. Unfortunately, there's also politics. Like who signed to who? Like, for instance, Weider athletes, for instance. And history would tell you, for instance, that Joe Weider created the damn Mr. Olympia contest. Or guys who are signed by Steve Bletchman, who publishes Muscular Development. That's another example. Or even specific PR companies that an athlete is signed with. Swallow this one. J.M. Mannion runs FMG, which is a PR company that many winning athletes are signed to. And like, for instance, like the first men's physique Mr. Olympia winner, Mark Anthony, he was signed to FMG. J.M. Mannion is also the son of Jim Mannion, who is the head judge of the NPC and IFBB. Chew on that one for a little bit. I'm sure that what an athlete has done in their personal life as well also plays some role and could color a judge's opinion. Grapefruit, anyone? Perhaps Mr. Green? I'm going to stop right there and be nice, of course. But those of you who know the sport know or probably know what I'm referring to, and those who don't could find it with a vague Google search. But one warning, it is not safe for work. There's also supplement contracts, the ubiquitous muscle tech athletes, for instance, or guys signed with BSN, Muscle Med, etc., etc., etc. Now, I'm not going to cry conspiracy here, but have a look at the athletes who typically win the Mr. Olympia. Notice I said typically, as in a lot, but not necessarily exclusively. They're generally Weider athletes, or were at one time, and a lot of them have possessed Muscle Tech contracts. Jay Cutler was with Muscle Tech. Branch Warren was once with Muscle Tech. He was never a Mr. Olympia winner, but he was in the top guys. Dexter Jackson was a Mr. Olympia once, and he was a Muscle Tech guy. There's just some examples, recent examples. Phil Heath was at one time a Muscle Tech guy, but he left to open his own company. But he's a current Mr. Olympia. Now, I'm not saying that has anything to do with anything, and I'm just pointing it out there. Politics play a role in so very much, actually. Even outside of athletics, like in day-to-day office work in corporate America. So it's reasonable to assume that they would play some role, even if not openly confirmed, in a sport like bodybuilding. Because there's a lot of politics in bodybuilding. So yeah, a vegan could be Mr. Olympia. A vegan who works, diets, and dopes to reach the size and conditioning of someone at that level. A vegan who gets visible and notable contracts, especially if we can start seeing some vegan companies making a mark at the Mr. Olympia and other major contests in the IFBB also, like the Arnold. And a vegan athlete who can find and bask in the spotlight of public favor. But will it happen? Who knows? Can it happen? Sure. Anyway, I don't have anything else to say on this particular subject, this topic. It's just something that I thought would be interesting to bring up and give my view on, considering how I just literally saw somebody, an OP, had posted about this in my group, and it just exploded with comments. So I thought it would be a topic worth covering on the video channels, the videos that I do, especially for a Meatless Monday. Anyway, if you guys have anything you want to add or any questions you want to ask or whatever, please drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Friday for a regularly scheduled episode. Until then, stay fit, stay formidable, and stay fantastic. See you around.